Jim and Lori were clients of ours that when they came in for their first annual review, we were going through some things, and it looked like, according to my notes, that they needed to update their will, which indeed they decided that they wanted to do, because it was a second marriage for both Jim and Lori, and they had not updated their will since that point. And at least in the state of Connecticut, it's not a good thing to die without a will, probably most states, but they decided to get those documents taken care of. And this was particularly important for Lori's sake, as Lori had a piece of property that she received in the divorce from her previous husband that had a house on it, but the house burned down, and it was just kind of there. But if she had died without a will, it would have not gone to where she wanted it to. So we were able to help them get connected up with an attorney, get their will taken care of. And it was a good thing, because it was only about a month or so later that Lori unexpectedly passed away. The good news of the story is that they had their documents put together in a way that made it easier on Jim when he had to pick up the pieces and take care of everything. He was able to inherit that piece of property and was able to sell it to the neighbor that wanted to buy it for many years, and was able to take care of everything much simpler than if they hadn't taken care of things. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about a new year with new opportunities. We are following up on our part one from last week. So if you didn't catch that, go ahead, check it out, Agemy, Agemy.com, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, or iHeartRadio. Dad, that's a really heartbreaking story, but something that, especially when the world is as insane and unpredictable as it is today, something that makes a lot of sense for people to look into. And that's where we're trying to have at the beginning of this year, this series, these two-part series on some of the things that we think will provide retirees, especially, some opportunities to take advantage of some of the things that we see are probably the biggest causes to watch out for. And those are market volatility and these black swan events, these events that are supposed to happen once every 100 years that seem to be happening about every decade. How can a retiree who doesn't get a paycheck from going to a job take advantage of that? Inflation, and where the Federal Reserve is saying that they want inflation, they want massive inflation, and governments all around the world are printing money like it's going out of style. Taxation, and we got into these three things last week. Taxation was tax laws changing, as well as governments borrowing money to fund their deficits. That will change, especially here in the U.S. tax code, as well as the new administration, and how people can take advantage of that, how people can do proactive planning to help themselves, as well as either their children, people they love, charities. And then the ones that we really want to focus on today would be longevity and legacy, wealth transfer, or giving money to the people that you care about.
Exactly. That's great. I'm excited as we begin this new year, continuing on with part two of New Year, New Opportunities. And I agree with you, Daniel, 100%. And that's why I started today with the story of Jim and Lori. And, that's a story that's true. And unfortunately, it was a heartbreak for Jim when his bride passed away like that. But even worse, should he had not taken care of the documents properly. And that deals with the legacy. You know, and legacy planning is the concept of along the lines of estate planning. Estate planning is the idea of accumulating, preserving, and ultimately distributing your assets. And that's a lot what we talk about here on Financial Strategies, as we're continuing talking about the accumulation of monies and making sure that they're going to be protected, making sure that you're able to pass them on in the same way that you want them to. Because if you don't take care of accumulating and preserving, there's not going to be anything to pass on. And some people want to pass things on to their family members or children or grandchildren, whatever it may be. Some people don't have that and want to pass it on to a charity or organization, maybe their alma mater that they graduated from, whatever the case. And so it's important to be able to take care of what it is that you have available at your fingertips. So I'm excited about today and what we can do in being able to help people, because so many people don't know what they don't know. And I hope you and our listening audience are going to hang tight and follow through with us, because you're going to learn something today and hear some things that maybe you haven't heard elsewhere before. I'm pretty certain of that. If you're just picked up listening to us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. And today's topic is new year, new opportunities, especially focusing on the longevity and legacy aspect of the new opportunities and planning for the new year. And we have a white paper or a companion piece to today's show that we'd love to be able to send you if you'd like. It's called 10 Estate Planning Mistakes to Avoid. And we have that available by calling 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. And we'll be glad to get that to you. Please give us a couple ways of contacting you so that we'll make sure that we'll be able to get that to you properly.
Yeah, that commission report is a great thing. It will help people be able to get some ideas of things that they need to look at, and then they can ask their questions. They can ask, if they manage their money, they can ask themselves those questions. If they have an advisor, they can bring that up with their advisor. It's always a good idea to get a second opinion on your plan. And do you have an estate plan? Because, you know, we're talking about this legacy planning, especially with your story. And our clients were able to identify that they had assets, they had things that they wanted to protect, and they had things that they wanted to skip through probate. Because you hear about these horror stories where people, their estates, you know, actors, actresses that have estates that have just been in probate for decades. And
Right.
Everyone's fighting everything. And a cool thing is, you know, this may be going the way of the buffalo in the next couple of decades with blockchain technology and things like that. But right now, people need to look at their plan. So one really, really easy way that you can make sure you have money going to the people you want it to do is look at your individual accounts. Do you have a TOD, a transfer on death on those things? And you can set up beneficiaries so those accounts, if you pass away, go to the people that you want it to go to, and it skips probate. Also, checking beneficiaries on your IRAs, on your 401ks, on your annuities. These are also, you know, the most simple thing. Do an audit on your accounts,
Right.
and check those things to make sure that when you pass away, because we're all going to die one day, that the monies that you have worked so hard for are going to the proper people, to the proper entities that you want them to go.
Exactly. You know, three things in life are certain: death, taxes, and change. And so when you die, you need to make sure that the documents, that you have all the documents necessary to be able to do what you want to do. At least in the state of Connecticut, you die without a will, you die intestate. And you're at the mercies of the general statutes of the state of Connecticut, because they're going to distribute their your assets in the way that the statutes say. And if you happen to have minor children, it's even a worse thing, because they're going to determine who's going to be the guardian of the children, and it may not be who you want to be the guardian of those children. You know what? Today, when people are getting wills done, I talked to them about how there's 4 basic documents that they need to, when they're getting their wills, when they're taking care of their legacy, their estate planning. And the first one, of course, is a will, last will and testament. The next one is a living will that says what to do, when to pull the plug, if to pull the plug, that kind of thing. And the next one would be a health care directive, which is sometimes included in the living will. Sometimes it's a separate document that says if you go into a hospital, you're comatose, that is giving somebody the option to be able to tell the doctors what to do on your behalf. And then the fourth one is a power of attorney. And a power of attorney, if you're not able to deal with your finances or different things, that allows your power of attorney, your attorney, in fact, to be able to sign for you. And it's kind of interesting, because of those 4 documents that make up a will today, 3 of them have to do with while you're alive, and only 1 is after you passed away. So it's very important to be able to have those documents up to date in proper fashion to be able to work hard for you from that standpoint. When we're talking about those things, there's also the aspect of living trusts. And living trusts are something that comes up often when people are talking about looking at their final days and planning for their final demise from that standpoint. And but before I get into living trusts, I want to, I see that it's coming up time for us to be able to take a break. And so with that, I want to remind you that you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, because people don't know what people don't know. Today's topic is New Year, New Opportunities, and currently we're talking about legacy planning. We have a piece to go along with today's show, which is 10 estate planning mistakes to avoid. It's a great primer to looking at and considering what you need to be aware of when taking care of your estate planning needs. We also have the book written by our good friend Scotty McLean in Wonderland down there in New Jersey, 3 Blind Mice. This is a book that will be able to help you to understand some planning and how to plan better, and the types of people that you need to be able to help you plan in a professional manner to make sure everything's taken care of. So we have that book, 3 Blind Mice, available to the next 5 callers at 800-725-7616. And we also have that piece, 10 estate planning mistakes to avoid. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. We'll be right back after this.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at agemy.com. That's AGEMY.com.